How did the seventh commandment cost these printers $30,000? What's up, smarty people? It's KeysDAN, RadioWhat.com, DJLittleRock.com. This is What Makes You Smarter. Now, on with the show. Blunders are part of life. As human beings, we can all make mistakes, especially when writing or typing. A simple slip of the fingers on the keyboard might be nothing more than a joke among friends. But throughout history, there have been some typos that meant much more than that, from millions of dollars lost to huge controversies and scandals. If you want to know which mistakes could have led to such consequences, here are 10 of the most notorious typos in history. Euture, spelled E-U-T-U-R-E. The title is not a new or unknown word, but a typo in the inscriptions of one of the most important monuments of our country. We're talking about none other than the Lincoln Memorial, the landmark honoring our 16th president in Washington, D.C. Built between 1914 and 1922, the memorial has part of President Abraham Lincoln's second inaugural address, delivered on March 4th, 1865, inscribed on its north interior wall. But a mistake occurred during the engraving. The word future was carved as euture. The extra line that turned that F into an E was filled and fixed. However, if you get close enough, you could still see traces of the original E on the monument wall. Here's another one, the ghost word. Have you ever read the word dord, D-O-R-D? Do you know what it means? Probably not. And it's not because your vocabulary is lacking, but because no one knows. Dord is a fake or ghost word that appeared in the 1934 International Edition of the Merriam-Webster Dictionary. One of the editors mistakenly interpreted a note that said D or D, capital D or minuscule d. The note indicated that D, capital D, or minuscule d should be used as abbreviations in certain parts of the dictionary. But the editor read that note as a whole word, dord. The term appeared in the dictionary for several years until another editor noticed the error and removed it. Dord. Let's keep going. Here's a lucky misspelling. Probably the most famous website in the world, Google, got its iconic name due to a typo. When Larry Page and Sergey Brin were creating the company, they chose the word Google, G-O-O-G-O-L, as the name for their search engine. But what does it mean? Google is the mathematical term for the number 10 raised to the power of 100. However, when they first typed it in to register the domain, they accidentally entered Google, the way it's spelled right now, G-O-O-G-L-E. Luckily, they loved the typo and decided to keep it, and the rest is history. Search that up. And now comes the Wicked Bible. What if I told you there's a Bible out there that reads, "You shall commit adultery"? Believe it or not, in 1631, a Bible was published in London that incorrectly listed that phrase as the seventh commandment. Of course, that wasn't an actual religious principle, but an accidental omission of the word not. That Bible caused a scandal in Europe, receiving nicknames such as the Wicked Bible, the Adulterer's Bible, and the Sinner's Bible. Because it was so controversial, the British government ordered all copies to be destroyed, which is why only a few exist today. In addition, the printers were fined £300, about $30,000 in today's money. Houston, we have a problem. Even NASA can make mistakes. If it hadn't been for an error in a spacecraft's guidance system, perhaps we would know more about Venus, the hottest planet in our solar system. The mistake I'm talking about was a missed hyphen in the spacecraft software code. Although this may not seem like a big deal, the consequence of that typo was huge. The 1962 Mariner 1 mission, which was launched with the intention of orbiting Venus, lost contact with Earth shortly after launch. Surprisingly, a simple missed hyphen caused an entire mission to fail. Moving on. Traveling on. What type of travel? NASA may have lost thousands of dollars due to their mistake, but there have been others who got exactly the opposite. In the 1980s, a woman earned $10,000 due to a typo. It was the owner of a travel agency who chose to promote her business in the Yellow Pages, but something went wrong. The ad came out with a misspelled word. Instead of promoting the agency's exotic trips, it advertised erotic trips. The woman decided to sue the Yellow Pages publisher for the damages her company received, and she won. Here might be a reason we're not so strong. Remember Popeye the Sailor? He had a secret to super strength: spinach. Today we know that spinach is much like other green leafy vegetables, but for years it was believed to have extraordinary qualities, and that was because of a typo. In the 19th century, a German chemist was nutritionally analyzing spinach, but when it came to write down the results, he made a mistake. He meant to write that spinach contained 3.5 milligrams of iron per 100 grams. Instead, he accidentally wrote that it contained 35 milligrams. Later, the myth gained even more strength thanks to Popeye's amusing adventures. Here's one I can't even pronounce. BQSTQN. As you've already seen, prestigious institutions can also make mistakes sometimes. That was the case with the National Hockey League in 1972. The Stanley Cup is one of the oldest trophies in the NHL, characterized by something special. It's engraved with the names of the players, coaches, and owners of all the winning teams. However, the trophy is also known for having several typos. When the Boston Bruins won the cup in 1972, they didn't expect what would happen next. Their team name was misspelled on the silver cup, which curiously read BQSTQN, Bruins. This next one's simply a state name with a slight mistake. Pennsylvania, spelled with only 2 N's instead of 3. We all have a deep admiration for our Constitution, the document that defined the ideas and principles that formed our nation. But even in a paper as important as this one, you could find some peculiar details. In the original U.S. Constitution, you can read the word Pennsylvania, Pensyylvania. As you can see, the state's name is missing an N. According to the National Archives official website, the author of this detail was none other than the founding father, Alexander Hamilton. From the 18th century on, the most commonly accepted spelling was still and is still Pennsylvania with 2 N's stuck together, Penn, making the word in the document a grammatical error according to today's standards. However, when the Constitution was drafted, it wasn't a typo, as Pennsylvania, P-E-N-S, was actually an accepted spelling back then. While we're on the subject of Pennsylvania, let's finish off with another fact about Pennsylvania. The U.S. Constitution is not the only site where Pennsylvania's name is spelled differently. The iconic Liberty Bell bears a similar typo. The Great Bell of more than 2,000 pounds is inscribed with a Bible verse and the words, "By order of the Assembly of the Province of Pennsylvania," for the State House in Philadelphia. The word Pennsylvania is typed just like in the Constitution. As you know, the name of the state wasn't standardized at the time, so there were also other accepted ways, including the less frequent Pennsylvania, Pennsylvania. If you visit the Liberty Bell at the Independence National Historical Park in Philadelphia, you can still read the word as it was written back then. How about that? We all make mistakes. Nobody's perfect. This has been What Makes You Smarter. Stick around for more. It's KeysDAN, RadioWhat.com, DJLittleRock.com. Peace. I'm out of here.